to build passive revenue, I'm in.
It's rock and roll.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots, you know the actions you can take. How your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Todd Halterman. How are you, buddy?
I'm awesome. Every time I hear that, it just makes me smile, dude.
Yeah, you and I are old enough that we go back far enough that we remember that show and the fun that came from it, and just all the laughs and giggles. I don't know. There's no real shows out there on the market right now that I can think of that just they just make you laugh and have a good time, and you don't have to worry about political correctness, politics.
I was just going to say, people can't make fun of each other anymore. It's not funny. Everybody's too serious.
Yeah, I have no problem when people say the old, bald, overweight guy. That. Maybe Josh, maybe we can get a moniker of that or something, a slogan along those lines, right? The old guy talks or the bald guy talks. That man speaks. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I guess I probably couldn't say that part. They'd get mad at me. Hey, let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. The number comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. I did go and do a lot of celebrating yesterday. I know that there's some people, you probably won't realize that, I thought that when they talk about yesterday being Fat Tuesday, they were just talking about celebrating me and my world, but I guess there was different meanings behind that. But today, National Old Stuff Day. I don't know if they're talking about me. Read Across America Day. I don't think we're allowed to read Dr. Seuss anymore, are we? Do the kids have Dr. Seuss, Josh? It's okay. No. Banana Cream Pie Day. Okay, we'll go with that one. Polly's Pies. They're our friends we like over at Polly's. So we'll get a banana cream pie. It might make you smile today because if you look at the gas prices, they are not going to make you smile. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 546 points. I don't understand. I'm going to have to ask Todd Halterman about that one. S&P 500 is up 70 points. The NASDAQ's up 144 points. Oil, I understand this one. We did have the State of Confusion last night. I'm sorry, the State of the Union last night. I think the individual delivering it might have been a little bit confused. I'm not sure what world he's watching, what world he's living in, but President of the United States did deliver a State of the Union and told us a lot of information, but I don't know if it had, I know one time he talked about helping out the people of Iran. I think he meant Ukraine, but that's a whole different story. But gas prices, they continue to go up, and we haven't seen the worst of it yet. So, Lori, you're at $3.42 right now. That's our tremendous underwriter. Lori, she's in Louisiana, $3.42 a gallon. Jody, she's not feeling too well. 383. I'd get sick at those prices. Actually, I might like 383 a gallon. Josh is at 407, so you're still not doing, but you're a little bit, Todd's better than you are. 404 up there, Todd, in Washington. And once again, California is winning. If you want to call that a win,
I got a bad feeling about this.
$4.87 a gallon is the average for a gallon of gasoline right here in the formerly Golden State. And it's going to get worse because we just see that the oil prices are up 486. But oh, wait a second. The president is coming to the rescue. He's going to go into the strategic oil reserves and release, well, they come up with altogether, he said 60 million barrels, 30 million out of the U.S. strategic oil reserves. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing, right? Because when the president says he's going to release they're going to release worldwide 60 million barrels, well, that's in the U.S. we use that, that's about 2 days supply. So what happens after that? And now that we see that the businesses themselves are actually doing what the president of the United States should have been doing. So businesses have gone and said they're not going to be carrying Russian oil, right? So the steamship lines have come out and said they're not going to go to Russia and get oil from them. Now, even though the U.S. is still buying $53 million a day of oil from Russia, well, when the steamships can't go there to get it, what happens? Well, the pipeline's closed, so then that's not going to work. So the bottom line is there's going to be less oil on the market. And being that the president had no comment about increasing oil production in the United States last night during his sorry State of the Union, well, we saw right as at the end of his State of the Union address, oil prices on the futures market overseas up $5 a barrel, $5 or $6 a barrel, maybe $7 a barrel last night. Now, I just shared with you that oil is up $5 right now. So when oil, $108 a barrel, I think last night I saw it get up to as much as, I think it was like 111 last night is where the highest I saw it go to. Might have been more because I didn't stay up all night to watch it. But I think I saw it get up to about $111 a barrel in the overnight market. So actually I'm looking right now, got up to 111.83. So it's come back down a little bit, but the bottom line is, I hate to say this, but about January of last year, oil was at about $60 a barrel, somewhere in that range. I don't have it in front of me. Again, I could look that up. But a year ago, we were looking at oil, right in around $60 a barrel. Yes, elections have consequences. I shared a picture last night, and it's great because especially when you've got a vice president like we have, she's not, I don't think she's the sharpest tool in the shed. So there's a video of her saying, elections have consequences, and then we get the Kamala laugh, right? You get what you voted for. Well, we're getting what we voted for. I don't think I even have a meme for that.
Nothing like a little air superiority.
Yeah, we got gas prices up, way up. We've got food shortages. We've got, when you used to get a ribeye steak, you can now get ground chuck. Everything, the inflation going way up, jobs down. Although we did get a fairly decent jobs report this morning. We'll talk about that in a bit. But here's the issue. Leadership. We need some leadership, and the president had an opportunity. Maybe all he had to do was follow what they were doing in Germany. I mean, he likes to lead from behind. We know that. His predecessor or his mentor, Barack Obama, same thing, lead from behind. But here's the issue. Germany came out and said, right, they're not going to get their energy from Russia. Our president did not say that. Germany said they're going to go to alternative sources. Germany said they're going to buy or they're produce. Our president did not say that, right? So if our president would have come out and said, hey, you know something? In light of world conditions, Russia invading Ukraine, no Russian oil, all these other issues, we're going to revisit the Keystone Pipeline. We're going to remove some of the regulations that he's put on the oil businesses. well, we might have seen some benefits on the oil market, and we might have seen some benefits in our pocketbooks. But our president doesn't have that ability. He doesn't have that cognitive. He's being run by the socialists, right? If you want to look at what President Biden wants for the United States, all you need to do is go and do a little homework. Look at Venezuela, right? That's what they're trying. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, the number one reason to sell your house today, we've got a mortgage minute, and I want to learn about this one. I think you'll enjoy it as well. Todd Halterman is with us. How to live a debt-free life or work toward getting to a debt-free life. And maybe we'll even talk. Now, I know that Todd can't tell us specifics, but from a 30,000-foot level, I might see if I can get him to help us educate us on maybe what we can do, or are there opportunities to hedge our bet on inflation. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Operators are standing by. Dow Jones Industrial Average now up 596 points. The NASDAQ is up 178 points. S&P 500 up 71.65. 10-year Treasuries up 13 on the interest or the yield on that at 1.84. Mortgage-backed securities, that bond is down 81 basis points. All of that information, as you know, is available on the super secret website, google.com. The reason you listen to Ron Siegel Radio is you want to know why is all of that happening. Well, we know a lot of it has to do with oil prices going up above $110 a barrel earlier today, continue to contribute to inflation. Remember, inflation is the arch enemy of bonds. So as inflation goes up, the bond goes down, interest or yield goes up. Additionally, Exxon, Shell, and British Petroleum announced, or I guess I'm aging myself. I think they call themselves BP now. I don't think they call themselves British Petroleum anymore. I think it's just go with BP. So BP announced that they are not going to do business with Russia, potentially on fears of getting paid because of Russia's removal from the SWIFT banking system. This will also cause some supply problems as Russia exports roughly 4 to 5 million barrels of oil per day. Higher oil prices will exacerbate our already hot inflation problem to mortgage bonds. Here's a biggie. ADP released their employment report showing that there were 475,000 job creations in February. Stronger than the expectations of 400,000, but here's the real big part of it. The January report was revised higher. Now, you got to get this one because I don't know how you do this, but they had come out in January with a report of 301,000 job losses. They revised it to 509,000 jobs gained, a revision of 810,000. What were they smoking when they did that report? Are they reliable for their reports? That's the question we have to ask right now. Some businesses lost 96,000 jobs. Small business, I say, lost 96,000 jobs, while larger businesses saw a gain of 552,000 jobs. That's a big problem right there. If you want more information on this, give us a call. Josh might be able to grab for us the ADP employment report. We'll see if we don't lock each other out today. We'll see if we can share that and give you an idea of what's going on in the jobs report. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Operators are standing by. So this morning, we are fortunate enough with all this stuff that's going on, maybe before we start talking about our debt-free life, we're going to bring Todd Halterman on to chat with us about inflation. And Todd, do we just have to eat it, or are we able? Is there something that we can do to try and mitigate inflation? Are there investments? I know that you don't give out. We're not giving financial advice. If you want financial advice, you can give me a call at 800-306-1990. I will not give you financial advice either, but I can give you Todd Halterman's contact information. But Todd, do we have any options? Todd, you're muted. Well, maybe I guess we don't even have to talk about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Lip readers unite.
There we go.
Yeah. Anyway, in any given market, there's ways to make money. Building a good financial plan includes risk management, inflation protection, interest rate risks, business risks, market risks. There's over 28 different types of risks that I've calculated over the years that people face when they're getting ready to retire or they're planning for retirement. So in an inflationary cycle, you're going to look for companies that have big moats, big cash reserves. They tend to dominate their industry or sector with the market share and the momentum that that company has in distribution. You're looking for companies that pay strong dividends and have a history of showing very profitable dividends, and those profits should be growing. So we're looking for companies that are known, that have big piles of cash, that own their market distribution. And if you don't want the bouncy ride of maybe having a dividend paying stock that fits the bill, then we'll use some inflation hedged corporate bonds right now. So if you're a conservative type and you want to park some cash temporarily, we're finding a really good success in that inflation hedged corporate bond market.
So there's and I'm going to just throw this out there. Not that I want to give anybody, again, I'm not giving any advice. I'm just saying in my own portfolio, I bought a little bit of a GlaxoSmithKline just because it's a 5% dividend stock, and people are going to get sick whether the market goes up, the market goes down, inflation is up, inflation is down. People get sick and need drugs, right? So I think what you're saying is, find those companies that are really, really good, strong companies, and they might make sense. But more importantly, I think that you always tell us is put together a plan with a professional and work the plan. It's not a matter of, looking and saying, well, I think oil is a good buy. Well, I don't know whether it's a good buy right now or if it's a bad buy right now, but I know if it's part of an overall plan of diversification, that might make sense for me. Is that about what, am I paraphrasing properly?
Well, it's been proven by two different Nobel Peace Prize winners that less than 2% of people's overall long-term performance is due to market timing. And if you miss 4 to 10 market days a year, you're generally missing most of the growth market. In this case, we have a whipsaw environment we're going through. We'll see probably in the neighborhood of 15 to 21 positive days that contribute to most of the gains in the marketplace. But the confusion that we're seeing today is a lot of geopolitical disruption that's now being ignored by Wall Street. There's still an excess supply of cash, and the Fed is speaking to that and trying to slow that down. Fuel and cost of groceries is an aggravation to inflation. So we're going to see some headwinds continued, but the underlying fundamental strength of capital is there. Corporate America is going to expand.
Yeah. So the bottom line there is just, get a whole growth plan, a whole idea, a whole method of doing all these things. And don't mistake it. Here's the issue, and I'm going to share it. So Todd, I know you well enough. I know that you work a lot, right? And you study the market and markets, and you're getting educated from people who want you to promote their products.
Sure.
Now, and that's what you do for a living, right? So that's people like you in your industry. Some do it better than others. That's why we not represent, but we promote Todd, is because we know what he's doing and his success. But here's the issue: is a lot of people are saying, "Well, I just went on my Yahoo app, and it told me that I should buy whatever. I don't care, XYZ company." And you're going to try and time it. The bottom line is you're going to fail. I'm just going to throw that out there. Now, most people aren't going to be that blunt, but when I say fail, you may not lose all your money, but you're not going to perform as well because you're not as well educated, right? I buy a little bit of a stock here and there. I've got most of my things are long term, but when I say that, it's because I look at a 5.2% yield. If it goes up or goes down, I don't care. I might even buy a little bit more if it went down. But the bottom line is if you think you're going to time the market and say, well, yesterday it was down 400 points, so I'm going to buy the market, and today it's up 500, so I'm going to sell, and tomorrow I don't know what it's going to do. Hey, Todd, do you have a crystal ball? Is it going to tell you? Do you know what it's going to do tomorrow?
I do have a crystal ball, but it doesn't talk to me.
I don't even want to go there. Okay. It's one of those world championship things, right? But the bottom line, now, here's the thing. Do you care, Todd, if the market goes up or down tomorrow? And the reason I say that is, obviously you have a bias. Everyone has a feeling.
Sure.
But for the most part, it doesn't matter to you whether the market goes up or goes down because you're working a plan.
Well, when you have a plan, you know ahead of time that there's going to be volatility sooner or later, and the market's been kissing all-time highs, and we're turning a corner where we're seeing 35 to 50,000 people turn 65 every day and retire. So there's just a lot of headwinds out there that can slow the growth down in the marketplace. So we just really like to build a plan where people have different levels of risk and 5 years of cash available to make sure they can weather any storm. We build defense first because that wins championships, but believe you me, we love the offense.
Yeah, everyone likes to hit a home run, right? But I heard an investment advisor, I think it was just yesterday. It was earlier today. It was one of the guys that's really been bearish on the market. And he made a comment that one of their main jobs is to help people, protect people from losing their money. Right? And that's exactly what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I had a couple come in one time, and he had lost about $80,000 throughout the 2008 drop, and it caused him to have to delay retiring a bit. But more than that, it almost caused a divorce. So I always tell people, if you got a third party that helps you, you can fire that third party, but it's really hard to fire a spouse if you make a big mistake.
Costs a lot of money to do that. That's just that's a different subject. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. So we got a plan. We know the plan. Todd's talked to us about the plan for investing. And one of the things over the years that I have noticed, in fact, goes back about over 20 years now, is there's a lot more people that have debt than have assets. I want to chat with Todd Halterman when we come back about how do we manage the debt and turn the debt, maybe turn bad debt into good debt, and all of that into a safe and secure retirement. How do you retire if you're in debt? We're going to talk to Todd Halterman about that. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomedigest.com, rsrhomedigest.com, or you can go to our new tool, rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. And Josh, I'm doing story 2. I jumped that around today. Number one reason to sell your house today. Almost every industry is currently struggling with supply chain disruptions. This also applies to the current U.S. housing market, where buyer demand far exceeds housing supply. Purchaser demand is very strong right now. The National Association of Realtors, NAR, just released their existing home sales report, which reveals that sales surged in January. Existing home sales rose to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of $6.5 million, an increase of 6.7% from the prior month, with sales up in all regions. However, there's one big challenge. Because purchaser demand is so high, the market is running out of available homes for sale. The above, even a supply chain issue there. The above mentioned report states that the current month's supply of inventory of homes for sale has fallen to 1.6 months. This prompts Lawrence Yun, chief economist for NAR, to say, quote, the inventory of homes on the market remain woefully depleted and in fact is currently at an all-time low, unquote. Earlier this month, Realtor.com released their inventory data for January. It helps confirm this point. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our social channels, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 KMET video feed, you're going to see a chart right now. Homes for sale each January. And if you look, 2022 doesn't look good. Now, you know, I throw out 2021 and 2020 just because those were anomaly years. But I mean, you look at 2022 compared to 2019, I think it's less than half. New listings coming on the market decreased over the last 4 years. The graph also reveals that carryover inventory has plummeted in recent years. This is because listings are now sold so quickly they don't stay on the market long enough to carry over month to month. In other words, homes are not staying on the market for months as they had prior to that pandemic. In the report mentioned above, NAR reveals, quote, 79% of homes sold in January 2022 were on the market for less than a month, unquote. Odetta Cushy, deputy chief economist at First American, explains it like this, quote, a higher velocity of sales, lower days on the market helps to explain a housing market characterized by both higher sales and lower inventory. Many resale transactions are happening so quickly that they flow in and then they flow out of the stock between the fixed monthly measurement of inventory, unquote. The heck does that mean? Anyone putting their home on the market shouldn't wait. A seller will always negotiate the best deal when demand is high, supply is limited. That's exactly the situation in the real estate market today. Later this year, inventory and by extension, your competition will increase as many homeowners are waiting to put their homes on the market in the spring and early summer. In addition, Len Kiefer, deputy chief economist at Freddie Mac, says, quote, housing starts off 2022 strong, just edging out 2021 for most in January since 2006, unquote. As these newly built homes are completed, they will become competition for your house. This gives you tremendous opportunity right now. Don't wait for that increasing competition in your area. You want to sell in 2022 and are ready to start the process today? Give me a call, 800-306-1990. No, I don't list homes. I don't sell homes. I do put you in touch with people that understand. And I can even show your agent a strategy to go to a multiple listing offer, multiple bidding offer situation. and then bump the price another 5 to 10% after you get all the highest and best offers in, and show you how the buyer can afford it. That's a specific strategy that needs to be written down out a specific way, and we know how to do it at Ron Siegel Radio. That is the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomedigest.com, rsrhomedigest.com, or go to RSR Home Scout, our new tool to help you find new homes in your area or valuations of properties in your area with no advertising. It's just a custom site made for you, for your situation. You can get all your shopping needs done right there. Todd Halterman is with us. We were talking in the last segment about building a diversified plan to protect you against inflation right now. If you got a bunch of cash sitting in the bank, you're getting what, 0.5% maybe, and you're losing about 8% to inflation. So your money's not going to be worth it. You'll be able to go buy ground chuck and not ribeye. That's just the easy way of putting it, right? You might be able to get half a tank of gas instead of a whole tank of gas, walk the rest. Or, I heard this one last night, Todd. You'll love this, because the president did tell us at the State of the Union about all the wind and solar energy. And he never mentioned anything about like electric vehicles or Tesla. Never mentioned Tesla once. But maybe you and I, Todd, we can create this new car and put a sail on the top. That way we can get it going forward with wind energy. I just throw that out there. Yeah, there is nothing in my glass other than water this morning. Let's talk about getting out of debt, Todd. That's what we want to chat about this morning. So, I was listening to one of the broadcasts you were on recently, and I listen to replays every once in a while. And I want to see, how does it sound? How does it come over the broadband or the terrestrial radio? And I happened to be listening to one of our affiliates, and you made a comment that just floored me, and I forgot about it, but I remember us talking about it. The amount of people that never lived to get to that retirement age. And it just floored me. And I said, everyone's saving for retirement, but they forget about living today. What about that idea? I mean, how do we live today? How do we put together that debt-free life without a 15-year mortgage that nobody in California can afford and is very, very high risk? And not making sure that we have no credit cards, so we have no credit card debt, or boom, and buy the $40,000 car we want to drive but can't afford to, so we're buying a date myself. Josh, do you remember Pintos? Okay, right, getting a Pinto instead of a RAV4. How do we live a debt-free life, Todd?
Well, let's face the reality. If we look back through time, the cost of living will increase. You can't stop that. The challenge is if you're too conservative as an investor today, you're going to lose money in a different way to inflation and time. But we also know that with the economy where it's at, the amount of deficit spending that's going on in the budget and the budgetary needs moving forward just for entitlement, which is Social Security and Medicare, if people aren't focusing on their debt, they're going to have a hard time getting retired. And what we've learned is that it's painful to try to get out of debt because you've got to stop going on vacation. You got to stop buying steak 3 times a week. You maybe got to stop going to Starbucks all the time. And that get out of debt lifestyle is really compared to a very painful process. But people sometimes just aren't educated how to use their money, Ron. It's not about how much you save. It's how you apply it, if that makes sense. Almost like a family will do their own tax return, but then take the same return to an accountant, and an accountant, a CPA, should be able to do that tax return better, more efficiently, more effectively, and find additional ways to help them mitigate taxes. So we put together a team of professionals that are actuaries who are helping Americans get out of debt in 9 years or less guaranteed, but they aren't having to spend any more money than they're spending right now. And our firm is specifically focusing on this because even Vanguard did a research, Ron, that the equity market may only average 5.5% to 6.5% over the next 10 years based on where capital spending's been, fiscal policies, and forward-looking environment. So if Vanguard's saying expect 5.5 to 6.5% in equities, and we know tax laws are going up through the roof, most Americans are paying 20, 25, sometimes 30% capital gains today, and that's not going to get any better. So we should be focusing on tax mitigation and disinheriting the IRS. We should be focusing on helping Americans become better wealth, stable wealth foundation by not having the debt.
And right now, I mean, I've been getting a lot of calls recently about my opinion of home equity lines of credit. And that happens to be one of them that's a good product. And I'm a big believer that there's never been really a bad loan product. There's been bad applications of loan products. Even some of the worst ones in 2007 and 8, they were made for a good purpose. They just weren't used for the right purpose, and they got out of hand. Home equity line of credit is a good product, but it's tied to prime rate.
Right.
Now, I don't have a crystal ball. Again, we talked about this in the last segment. But when the Federal Reserve says they're going to raise rates, prime rate goes up. Right? That the Federal Reserve doesn't set the prime rate, but it follows what the Federal Reserve is doing. Not probably the best way of dealing with things. Now, your credit cards may not go up, but it might cost you more to get a car. It might cost you more to get furniture. It might cost you more for all these other issues. So putting together, again, we go back to this. Todd, I think our theme of today is a plan, right? Get with Todd and put together a plan to reallocate. I guess is the right word, reallocate funds, Todd?
Yeah, because it's here. Yes, the answer is yes. It's reallocate, but it's more than that, Ron. Most people are thinking about asset allocation today and having diversification in their investments to eliminate or reduce downside risk. And the fact is that doesn't really stop downside risk, but asset location does. And we want Americans to understand it's not just about what you have in mix, but it's where you have it. And the people that want successful retirement are going to manage and mitigate their debts along with taxation so they can be more powerful in those years where they want to live on their own paychecks and not somebody else's. So
how do I mean, it sounds great in as a theory, you know, I can take and spend money, but it just, you know, it's one of those things. I'm going to throw the terminology out there, and I don't think we're going to have enough time in this segment, but I want you to talk about the idea here, because the idea of saying, okay, I can get rid of my debt and I can do that all without spending any more money. And 9 years, I've got no mortgage and all these things. You know, the thing that comes to mind to me, as a consumer, and maybe it comes to mind to you too, sounds way too good to be true. So I'm going to get more into this with Todd Halterman when we come back, because, you know, I've looked at it. I'll share with you. I know that's what I thought when Todd told it to me, until he said actuary. I don't even know what the heck that meant. And then he said guaranteed. And I know what that means. We don't usually use that term in financial services. We're going to get Todd to explain that when we come back. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. We're going to continue our conversation this morning. Todd Halterman is with us. We've been chatting about, we've covered a broad array of topics today, but what we've really been doing is chatting about planning for inflation. We know it's here. It's not going to go away. I can't foresee it going away. Well, probably not for at least 3 years, right? Because the likelihood is, if you read the projections, the House and Senate may go over, switch parties, maybe not. President is going to still be there for another 3 years. Probably have gridlock in Washington, but we do have a lot of just the policies that are in place right now and executive orders are not going to help us on the inflation front. So Todd told us about a plan for that. Last segment, we started talking about debts and how to deal with debt. And Todd gave us I guess in radio we call it a tease, but he's not a radio guy. He just comes and visits us on radio from time to time, right? And we've got a opportunity and a methodology to get out, to get out of debt in 9 years, guaranteed, based on following a program, which even when Todd sets up the program, I'm going to tell you the biggest challenge to Todd's program. And I love Todd dearly, but I'm going to tell you what the biggest fallacy is of it. You. Because he can tell you exactly how to be out of debt in 9 years or less if you qualify. If you don't follow the plan, it doesn't work. Pretty simple. Right. And so you know, I looked in the early part of this century, I used to help people with a product called a subprime loan. And it got a bad rap, but it saved people from losing their houses. And we told people, you know something, do what we tell you for the next 2 years. We'll get you out of the subprime loan into a prime loan. You'll be out of debt and you'll be in good shape. Call them back 2 years later, back in debt again. Everything that we helped them do, they went right back to their old ways. So it's all about you. Can you do it? But Todd, I want you to explain, because one of the things that, you know, you listen to your program and say, okay, I want to do this. I want to be out of debt. I want to have my house paid for in 9 years. I want to be able to know that I'm going to be on a track to retire. And I want to still be able to live my life today, go on vacation, go out to dinner, take my wife out, take my kids out. It's too good to be true. So explain, not in the, you know, granular, but from a high level. How are we doing all these things?
Well, much like the analogy I used before, there's two different ways to do a tax return. And most people who want the best tax mitigation have an accountant or CPA on their side. So what we do is we turn to actuaries. Actuaries are doctors of mathematics and science, and they understand numbers both from a perspective of risk management, growth, the economy, the use of capital, cash flow. We're talking doctors of mathematics and science who have dedicated their lives to helping teach Americans how they can redirect money that they're spending right now and the way that they're paying their debts to be able to not spend more than they're spending right now, but actually get out of debt with the same cash flow. But they have a doctor's degree in mathematics and science, and they understand how to help somebody with their budget, change the way they're mixing their pot of stew every month to help them get out of debt in 9 years or less.
That's pretty interesting. And one of the things that we've talked about is, you know, when you do the planning and you have these actuaries working in conjunction with planners, well, one of the things that we have to plan for in retirement is how we're going to pay our mortgage. But if we plan for that in lifetime and don't have a mortgage, or we have a mortgage that's got a 3 or 4% interest rate or 5% interest rate, but you've got an investment program where that money is making you, 2, 3, 4% above whatever that mortgage rate is. Do you want to get out of debt, right? That's good debt, right?
Well, that's called arbitrage. If you look back at the history of banks, that's how banks are successful. They You put money in their bank, they use it to loan it out to your neighbor. They make 6 to 7% net income, and you make 1% on your CD. That's just the banking system. But today, the government's artificially reduced rates so low that Americans have an awesome opportunity right now to create their own arbitrage where they're using the bank's money to be able to make more money and have more funds in retirement. But you got bad debt and good debt, Ron. Mortgage debt, if it's used properly, is good debt. So if we can take bad debt and move it into the good debt category and then have a compounding program for people to get out of debt in 9 years or less, it's effective use of capital.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Are you all the way out of debt, or are you out of debt optionally?
Well, we like to get people to that spot where they're out of debt optionally. And because if you're only paying a 3% debt service on your mortgage and your fixed certificates are making 5 to 6, it's really, really hard to give up that 3 to 4% spread that you're making over that mortgage cost. However, sometimes it's just really nice to not have the liability. So having the ability to pay that loan off at any time is called power and control. Now, whether you do it or not is truly up to you. But Ron, I'll submit to you right now, real estate is averaging higher than 4% appreciation right now. So if somebody's got a 4% mortgage and their real estate's appreciating at 4%, their real estate is appreciating at the same amount of interest they're paying. They're still a net positive with their cash flow.
So I'm going to add one more word to your definition there. So you said power and control. I'm going to add the word freedom.
Amen.
Right? And I'm going to give you my definition of financial freedom. Maybe you've got a different one. So my definition is having the money to do what you want to do and the time to do it. Right? You need both. So when Todd's talking about the idea of taking a mortgage, and the median home price here in Orange County, California, is about $950,000. So let's just say that you've got a $600,000 mortgage on that, and I'm going to use some weird numbers. I'm going to say, okay, what if you've got a 3% interest rate? You're spending $18,000 a year in interest. The property's appreciating at 5.4%. That's our 62-year average down here at 5.4%. And Todd's able to get you, I don't know, 6, 7, 8%. I'm going to say 8. And the only reason I use 8 is because it's easy math. No other reason, right? So it could be 6, it could be 10, it could be whatever number. But if he gets you 8% interest, is that $48,000 on a $600,000 if we've got that in the bank? 48,000. I just wrote that down backwards, so it's dyslexic. 48,000 less the 18,000. So this year, by making that 3% mortgage payment, you've got a net of $30,000 just on good debt.
Yeah, and don't forget that the house also appreciated 5.5% from the 900,000.
Right. So liquidity, you've got $30,000. That's $2,500 a month in spending money. And your property, as Todd just said it, so it went up from 9. So that's going to go up another $45,000 to your net worth. So do you want to pay off the mortgage? Now I'm going to share with you. And I say this all the time. I've told this to my own family. From a actuary standpoint, from the scientist standpoint, you cannot argue with the fact that good debt is good for you. But from an emotional standpoint, I don't have a leg to stand on. Right? If your emotion says, I don't want to have to worry about making that payment. Okay, I get it. You've made the decision that is worth the value of that feeling good is $75,000 a year. How good do you feel? Right? Am I on track there, Todd?
Well, yeah, and I don't think people understand the cash flow and amortization. Most people are attempting to pay off their mortgage super quick at the tail end of the mortgage the last 10 years. And Ron, the last 10 years of a mortgage, there hardly is a lot of interest to pay on that loan. So the traditional method of paying the mortgage off early by paying a little bit extra every month so you're done at year 22 makes no sense, because then you're paying off a loan that's almost no interest.
So that's even better. So let's pay off an interest-free loan. It's like saying I got a credit card that has 0 interest, and I'm going to do better by paying that off instead of putting the money to work for me somewhere else.
That's absolutely correct. But here's the beautiful thing today. The way that the bond market and the stock market and the capital markets are today, there's an awesome opportunity for people to be able to take bad debt, turn it into good debt long-term, and still get out of debt in 9 years or less and not change anything about what they're spending every month. So those of you that want to be debt-free and don't want to carry a mortgage, we'll get you out of that debt in 9 years or less without spending any more than you're spending right now. But we want to convert the bad debt to good debt.
That's the way to do it. If you want more information, give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. I'll be happy to put you in touch with our friend Todd Halterman. He knows how to do all this stuff. He knows the actuaries and all those guys that are smart. And I know Todd, so we got it made. Again, as always, we ask you set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Sean and Josh, who are engineering. Easy for me to say. Josh and Sean are engineering us today, and of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Boss just pushed me over the limit. I'd like to call him something. I think I'll just call it a day.